Chiefs get their first matchup against the Denver Broncos and their new quarterback coming up next on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, friends and neighbors. Thanks for joining us here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, where you can get us for free here on YouTube, on audio platforms everywhere, Spotify, etc., etc. We're brought to you today by LinkedIn. Our pals over there make it easy for you to find the candidates that you're looking for faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Terms and conditions apply. This is the fun part. It's a short week. We have plenty of things to talk about. We're going to get after the Broncos right away. The first time these teams are meeting in the AFC West matchup this week. He is Chris Clark. That way, I got it right. Sort of. You can find him at KC Chiefs Corner. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, NFL33.com, and RGRFootball.com. Thanks for making us your fish. Listen, if you want that much more and you want the ultimate breaking news, our thoughts, everything, it's at 816-357-8781. That's where our everydayers, our locos hang out. We appreciate you guys. We are going to get into the X factors and our predictions for how this ball game is going to come down later in the show. The must-win matchups that each team has to have. The Chiefs have to do these things to get the W. That's what we're looking for coming up in a little bit. And we start where we have to with Patrick Mahomes, the magic ankle, and the rest of the injury list that will have a factor on this ball game. Patrick, people have been calling him magical just for his ankles all week. I'm ready for it not to be magical. I just want it to be solid. I don't want any more worry about ankles, high, low, or otherwise. Can we get that sorted out?
Andy Reid would argue with you and say that he doesn't want it solid because Patrick has the loosest ankles in the NFL that he thinks. Which, you know, with all the problems that he's had with his ankles, I think that probably a solid ankle would probably be a bad thing for him because I just think that that's probably easier to get injured than what he's dealing with as is. You hear what happened to him. I mean, he talked about it after the game. He talked about it, you know, a little bit this week. And it's great that he's going to be okay. He's probably going to be dealing with pain in that ankle for, I would say, this week, maybe next week, and maybe a couple weeks after. It's going to be sore. It is what it is. I'm sure they're working on it and trying to get it better, but I don't know that it'll get fully healed maybe until after the Super Bowl, if I'm being quite honest. I mean, the reality is when you continue playing on it week after week after week, you probably are going to aggravate it a little bit, if not re-injure it to some extent every single time you play, would be my guess. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I am, but you have to stay off of it generally to heal stuff like that.
The first step in the Rice protocol is rest. I mean, you don't get to do that during the season. I mean, you get that little sliver should you win the bye, which we will be getting more and more focused on as we go forward, folks. But Bengals. I don't think that's really enough to alleviate it. So you're absolutely right. Yeah. Hey, Bengals versus Ravens tonight, folks. You know who you should be rooting for at this point. I know it feels counterintuitive, but yeah, as big a lead as the Chiefs can get. Now, he's not the only guy with injury status that we have to go over, though, because one person in particular who I thought has been playing very well of late and made a couple of splash plays in the last couple of games is Tershawn Wharton. He has not practiced yet this week. It is a knee issue with him. I don't believe it's the same ACL reconstruction, though, as far as I've been made aware. I don't know if you've heard something different.
No, I haven't heard anything different, but that could really be a big loss for them. And the other issue, like, I know we're talking about Wharton, but the other part of that is Nnadi's on the injury report as well. So you have two guys that are going to be dealing with injuries. Even though Nnadi was full, he's still dealing with a triceps injury. So you have to worry about that a little bit. If Wharton can't go, maybe this is the week that we see the guy that they brought up from the practice squad that hasn't played at all this year as a DT. Yeah. I mean, that's possible. I'll let you pronounce that because I knew I was going to butcher it. Reality is, though, I mean, they have to find a way to get pressure, and Chris Jones is obviously going to be the key on that. Another guy that was dealing with injury last week and practiced in full is George Karlaftis. He should be good to go. He was limited on Wednesday, full on Thursday. I would imagine you'll see him full on Friday and probably won't have an injury designation. But that's another one. And the other injury that's still out there, and it's not as big as it has been in previous weeks, but JuJu is still not practicing. You have to wonder if that's an injury that maybe that they were considering, waiting and trying to get him back for the Bills game. Is that what they're looking for? Because it's been now this will be the third week he would miss. They didn't put him on IR. They could have, but they decided not to put him on IR. So at this point, you would have to think that maybe they're hopeful they can get it back for the Bills game, which would be a big ad for him. And interestingly enough, just to throw this out there, they did cut Cole Christensen, and they have an open roster spot. So not sure what to make of that other than he's now on the practice squad. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering as well. And when we have more information for you, we will share it, folks. On the plus side, you're getting Mike Dana back, full participant. Najee Johnson, full participant. It's kind of a whack-a-mole here, right? Like the D-line's getting a little bit worse. Corner's getting a little bit better, at least at having options. I wouldn't say that last week in particular was a stellar debacle of any kind for Joshua Williams or any of the other DBs. Certainly CRW. Chris Rowan-Wallace needs reps. He's an undrafted rookie for a reason. He's got a ton of potential. But every rep that he plays is a step forward, in my opinion. And when you look at who they're going to be playing, in Courtland Sutton, who did have a big ball game against the Ravens last week, I don't know if you can project that to be a weekly thing. I certainly won't. But you do need the length, and you do need the size and the speed to combat him. So I do feel like Josh was going to get a second chance there. Now, the other interesting part is if Nazee's back, I do like what he can do in matching up with Troy Franklin, who I really liked it. And for those of you that remember from the draft cycle, I was a Bo Nix proponent as well as Troy Franklin. And together, I think eventually they're going to click. I think it's going to be more of an issue for the Chiefs' second ball game against them this year than it is this first one. But having Najee out there definitely makes you feel like you have enough guys that can turn and run with a skinnier guy like Troy Franklin, not get out muscled, not get out physical.
Yeah, and the big thing, though, that you have to make sure that you do in the secondary is you have to make sure that nobody gets behind you. That is the one thing that they screwed up against the New Orleans Saints when you played them. You let Shaheed get behind you. Sorry, Shaheed, I apologize, get behind them. And at that point, you're in a situation where you're going to get beat, and that is going to cost you. You can't do that against the Broncos. Their offense hasn't been great this year, but it's been good enough that it can give you trouble, especially if you get beat deep and give up the extra yardage. That could be a really big issue if Franklin gets loose and is able to do that, because the Chiefs defense has been fantastic, not allowing explosive plays against them. And that is one of the things that they have to keep doing this week is continue to be somebody that's stopping those types of plays.
There are a couple of other matchups that they must win. What are they coming up next?
For most of us that like collecting cards, the idea of spending $2,000 or more on a Mahomes rookie card just isn't in the card. I love collecting, but that's some serious money to drop. And thanks to slap packs from arenaclub.com, now it's possible to score gem mints for a fraction of the retail price. Every card that I listed was hit from last week's Arena Club slap pack drop. Arena Club is the only repack that provides real value, a complete view of all possible cards, and clear hit rates for each one. Arena Club slap packs are revolutionizing the repack game with transparency. After your pulls are revealed, they'll be immediately placed in your showroom for safekeeping, selling, trading, or auction. The Arena Club grading process is accurate, fast, and transparent, with a full grade rationale provided in it. Explanation of how your card was scored. Whether you're buying, selling, trading, or displaying, Arena Club is the card collecting platform you have to check out. Right now, you can get 10% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/lockedonnfl and use code LockedOnNFL. That's arenaclub.com/lockedonnfl, code LockedOnNFL for 10% off your first purchase.
Guys, if you ever feel like you need a little boost in the bedroom, it's time to stop worrying about performance and get Hims. Hims is changing healthcare by providing you access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. They set you up with a doctor-trusted ED treatment. It's chewable or whatever you are looking for. The process is 100% online. No uncomfortable doctor's visits. All you got to do is answer a few questions. There's no insurance that is needed. And one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon. And your personalized ED treatment options are going to be there. That's hims.com/lockedon. Products mentioned are chewable compounded products, which are not approved by or verified for safety and effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if it's appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. There's a lot of matchups when it comes to it. Nothing is going to be more important than the one-on-one between the Chiefs' deep safety, whether it's Brian Cook, whether it's Justin Reed, whether it's Chamari Connor, and Bo Nix. Now, as I said before, I'm a Bo Nix fan. I do feel he will eventually be somebody in this conference, in this division, that we talk about as a formidable option once he has a better support system. But he's still a rookie. And as good as he has been playing lately and the progress that we do see, he will give the ball away. And a lot of it is on plays where you can either bait him into thinking something's open that's not, or coming up and making that jump. It's about being able to trigger your pursuit over the top, because he will try to go to Troy Funkett. He will try to go to Courtland Sutton, especially given their success recently. So there will be opportunity. The Chiefs need to win that matchup.
Yeah, it's a huge matchup, and I would disagree with you to an extent that it's the biggest. I think that the biggest matchup is Chris Jones versus whoever they're going up against, whoever he's going up against, whoever he lines up against. Because, and I talked about this on yesterday's crossover, my big thing with that is Chris Jones has been eating players alive just about every single game. He is getting huge pressure, and it is causing issues for other teams. That's one of the reasons the Chiefs don't give up a lot of big, deep pass plays. Chris Jones is causing havoc in the backfield. And their interior hasn't been great this year. So I think whoever he decides to line up against, and he may end up going up against their tackles as well. So it really doesn't matter if it's interior or exterior. I feel pretty good about Jones getting a pass rush there. And that is so key, because if you get in his face, if you get in Bo Nix's face, especially coming up the middle, that is going to throw off timing. That's going to throw off what he's able to do and where he's going to be able to put the ball. And if he can step into it, if he can't set his feet, that is going to be a huge key, and that could really play in Kansas City's favor.
It certainly is. And you're right. I do think it's going to be a contest, flipping of coins, rock, paper, scissors. I don't know about who gets to go against the right tackle. Because Ben Powers has been their left guard, at least last week against the Ravens, played pretty well. And so I don't think Chris's normal spot is exactly where you can get the most benefit from him, because Mike McGlinchey at the right tackle spot has been not very good this season. Had another rough game, under a 60 grade on PFF, if you care about that. That's somewhere to attack. George Karlaftis is going to man that. I think they're going to rotate through. We do want to see what Uche can do. We do want to see if they get Cam Thomas involved a little bit more, you would hope. I don't know. It's an ongoing mystery there. But the pass rush to Nix is going to be important. I will say this, though. I will warn the Chiefs, especially if it's red zone, don't be lulled into a false sense of security, because he is a fairly, 6'3", whatever, like prototypical looking quarterback. He is more mobile than he appears. And if you break contain and you don't maintain your leverage, he will make you hurt for that. So got to keep an eye on a controlled pass rush this week.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see what they do with Uche this week, because you saw him go against one of the best left tackles in football on Monday night against Tristan Wirfs. I mean, he is fantastic. So that is a tough matchup for Uche. Garrett Bowles isn't Tristan Wirfs. I'm not saying he's a bad left tackle, but he's definitely not Tristan Wirfs. So I think that could be a fun matchup to watch. But we also talked about this earlier. Mike Dana is going to be returning. And while he might not be great at rushing the passer and giving you a ton of pass rush, what he does give you is he gives you another guy that you can break down inside and get after the passer, which may be even more important this week, because it looks like Tershawn Wharton may not be playing at all. If that happens, having Karlaftis, having Dana, guys that can come in and play the defensive tackle position and rush from the inside, and still have, Jones on the inside or outside and Uche from the other side, and FAU come in, and having all those guys that you can mix and match could be huge. The other thing that is going to play into this is how does Spagnuolo decide he wants to attack Nix? Because Spagnuolo always gives rookie QBs and first-year QBs even the fits. I mean, he gets after them and he finds things in their game. Spagnuolo has something up his sleeve for this game specifically. How is he going to use it? When is he going to get pressure? Where is he going to be sending the pressure from is the other question. I do expect them to blitz Nix, and I do think it's going to be successful.
I agree with you. And I think in particular, I think part of that is because you feel, at least I do, that there's a little bit less, I think, vulnerability from the tight end position when you're talking about Denver. I don't think they're as scared of that against whether it's the linebackers or the young safeties. Obviously, Javonte Williams had a good game out last week, 84 yards from scrimmage for him. I know that doesn't sound much when you're talking about Kareem Hunt, or for Javonte Williams in the Denver office. That's a pretty good day out. That's an improvement. But what you don't see from them is a whole lot of tight end. I think Kroll got started early in the season. I think Troutman had 1 catch for 4 yards last week. So I think the Chiefs are going to be able to not only send blitzes from the linebacker level, but also show a lot of simulated pressure and get out of there. So I think there's going to be opportunities to jump some passing lanes. I hope that they choose to do that. Now, whenever they go and execute the game plan.
I was just going to say the other matchup that I'm really looking forward to is DeAndre Hopkins versus these corners. Denver has one of the best defenses in the NFL. I know they didn't play like it last week, but this is a good defense. Can they slow down DeAndre Hopkins? Can they find a way to slow down DeAndre Hopkins and Travis Kelce together? That's going to be a huge key in this game. And the other thing that needs to be discussed is while his stats haven't been great, he's been playing so much better. Patrick Mahomes played very well against the Raiders. He played very well against the Bucs. Finally had a game where he didn't turn the ball over, which is huge. And he showed that he trusts DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins versus Surtain and their other corner that they're going to be playing, I think it's Riley. Is it Riley?
Moss.
That is going to be a key matchup. And what does Kansas City do to get Travis Kelce open, and how is he going to be used going up against this Denver defense? I feel really good about the interior of the offensive line. The left tackle scares the crap out of me going up against this Denver defense, though.
That's fair. They have a couple of options to send at you. And one of the guys that I think could be the X factor in the game, we're going to get to those coming up next. When you're hiring for a small business, you want to find the quality professionals with the right fit for the right role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. It has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team. I'm always looking at LinkedIn. It isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you find professionals you can't find anywhere else. Even those who aren't actively looking or searching for a new job might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get qualified candidates within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. It goes down the easiest way to post your job for free is on LinkedIn.com/LockedOnNFL. That's LinkedIn.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers, you can bet just $5 and you get $150 back in bonus bets if you win right now. FanDuel Sportsbook, the app, gives you everything that you need to get bets in place for the NFL all in one place. So when you got a hunch in the middle of the game, you want to check out the latest stats, you live by that play-by-play, you can do that and much more in the same page right where you place your bets. Visit FanDuel.com today and join. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, America's #1 and official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Now I'm always looking at how you can get someone new to be the focus, the X factor. I think maybe one of the most underwhelming stories in terms of national coverage is just not how good the Broncos defense is in fantasy football, but who's sparking it. And that comes back to Zach Allen. You mentioned their right end on their base defense is a guy came over from Arizona, worked with J.J. Watt for a couple of seasons, has a lot of experience, and he is really the guy that is starting to be the catalyst and get everybody else going. Yes, they have some edge rushers too, but he's the guy that you got to make sure that you take care of, whether he's lined up heads up on the tackle or when he slides inside. He can wreck plays. He's an X-factor guy that Chiefs have to watch for.
Yeah, and he's part of the reason I think that they were willing to trade away Baron Browning, which I was really surprised at. You don't really see many teams that are going to trying to compete for the playoffs trade away a pass rusher mid-year. That just doesn't happen very often. So kind of surprising there. But you look at this game and one of the X factors, the problem is with Kansas City's offense, you have DeAndre Hopkins, you have Travis Kelce. You know those two guys. JuJu isn't back yet. Likely not going to play this week would be my guess. So you have to have somebody step up and be that third guy. And it doesn't have to be somebody that's going to get 5 or 6 targets in the game, but it needs to be somebody that can get open on third down at least once or twice a game to help move the sticks. Is that going to be a guy like Xavier Worthy, who's gotten a ton of targets but hasn't really produced on third down? He's had 10 targets this year so far. He's caught 4 of them, though he does have 4 first downs. That's something that has to change. If he's going to be an X factor in this game, he needs to show that he can be counted on to be clutch when Mahomes trusts him.
Well, and I'll double down on you there because both he and DeAndre Hopkins, when they line up in the slot, have a unique opportunity because last week, Zay Flowers lining up predominantly out of the slot, went out for like 127 and 2 touchdowns. So there's an opportunity there from that particular alignment based on the coverage that you're going to draw. Now, maybe they mix it up. I don't know. But Jaquan McMillan, I think, is in for a rough day because he is their primary slot corner. We'll see if they choose to make a change there. I honestly can't predict it. But what you do get is an advantage all the way across. And my next one was very similar. It needs to be DeAndre Hopkins yet again. There's no reason to pull off the gas here. He and Kelce are going to feed off of each other. So just keep feathering it to him. He's got the advantage, I feel, very clearly on the rookie Riley Moss, who is a great athlete, but doesn't have the experience, doesn't have the little things under control yet. Obviously, the matchup with Pat Surtain would be pretty critical. So are they going to actively move him away there, move him into the slot, try to use motion to get him free? I think that's probably the best way to go. But DeAndre Hopkins will be an X-Factor player.
It's funny because DeAndre Hopkins has actually already played against Pat Surtain this year and showed that he can beat Pat Surtain this year. I'm not going to say he beat him every single time, but he showed that he has the ability to beat Pat Surtain, and that's what matters. So I do think that's a big one. But the other thing I would say is that another guy that can be an X factor in this game is Noah Gray, because the reality is you have to have that third guy, even a fourth guy. I don't think it's going to be Justin Watson this week. If you go back and watch a lot of the games when the Chiefs go to 12 personnel, or even if it's just, 11 personnel, sometimes it's just Noah Gray on the field, no Travis Kelce, because they give Kelce a down or 2 off. Noah Gray has been stepping in and being a guy that Mahomes can trust. Like I said before, it doesn't have to be 5 or 6 passes a game. It just has to be get open 2 or 3 times, let Mahomes find you, find your spot in the zone, move the sticks, and be successful. That actually allows them to continue drives and move and continue to get points. I saw a stat today. Mahomes, I think, is on 3rd and 3 and shorter. He's converting 58% of the time through the air, and not another starter in the NFL is even over 48%. I've been tracking third down. It was something that really struggled with, especially 3rd and short early in the season, but they have gotten so much better. And it's not just DeAndre Hopkins. He's helped. Don't get me wrong, but it's not just D-Hop.
It takes a village, and this team is still evolving, still getting their feet underneath them, but I do feel that they're going to be in pretty good shape. At the end of the day, I think this matchup is one that I can't say the Chiefs are going to overplay because it's a division game. I think we learned our lesson, again, that we thought they might be able to pull away from last week didn't materialize. The fact they had to go to overtime is bothersome. I don't think they have to do that this week. But I don't think against this particular defense, it's just all smooth sailing. You would hope that they can build on last week, and I do think they still break 24. At the end of the day, I think Bo Nix gets a couple of things done, but I see the Chiefs winning this 28-20.
Yeah, I look at this game, and it's going to be a question of what does Spagnuolo get done and how quickly does he get done on Bo Nix? Because if he gets to Bo Nix early and he flusters him early, this game could get somewhat out of hand. But we haven't seen that from Nick so far this season. He has had some very bad games. Early in the year, he had 2 horrible picks. I believe it was against the Jets. But they were just throws you can't make as an NFL QB. And if you can make him do those types of things, that's going to help you defensively. I do think the defense takes a step forward. I do think also that weather played a little bit into how they played this past game. The inclement weather, I think, didn't help. But I do think that this defense is going to take a step forward. I don't know that I see them scoring 20. I would say 17. I'm going to go 27-17 Kansas City. I would like it to be a larger score. And it's not going to shock me if it's a one-score game just because that's how the Chiefs play. But the other thing that is going to go into it every single game is they get the best shot of every single team they play. And Kansas City, has to be looking forward a little bit to the next game on their schedule, which is Buffalo. And I just hope they don't overlook Denver at all.
Yeah, I agree. We'd like to know what you guys think. What is your prediction? Put it down in the comments on YouTube. Let us know what that score is going to be as well. We're looking forward to it. Hope that you are as well. Chiefs are on the roll. Got some division games coming up. Got the Bills hanging out there. Maybe another big contest against the Steelers. We'll see how it materializes, but get the first thing done first, and that is going to be against the Denver Broncos coming up here. Thanks for being with us. Make sure you like, sub, hit the bell, join us on the audio platforms. Check out KC Chiefs Corner, NFL33.com, and RGR Football. Thanks for being with us, and we will talk to you live post-game following Chiefs Broncos.